Even though I operate as a nonprofit, I'm probably one of the best paid open donors in the world. Now, everything I make as an income as a donor goes back into my work, my health, my testing, the lifestyle I'm supposed to live to be a healthy sperm donor, and other things such as my team and the employees in there. So today I want to talk about how you can become a full-time paid donor, what it takes for you, and why it's not even that unreasonable to suggest that a donor should make a living. So first of all, I want to explain why this topic of making money with your swimmers is a bit controversial. I found a lot of people don't like that I make an income as a donor. Some people think it's really funny. Some people think it's kind of weird. Some people, they might look at their own 9 to 5 and they might be upset about the fact that, I can live a full-time healthy life making money with my DNA, with my sperm, which at the end of the day is only the tip of the iceberg, right? The donation itself, I always say, I don't charge for me having to ejaculate. I don't charge for me having to put my sperm into a cup. I charge and I have expenses for all the stuff and the work that I do as a full-time open donor, and because I want to make sure that the network of half siblings has some incredible mothers in there too, which is a different topic, but which is easy to do. If you have an income as a donor, you can hire a team of people to support you in being a great donor, right? You can hire a personal trainer, you can hire an editor, you can hire people that do content distribution for you, you can hire people who do outreach, who respond to the first messages, and so on. Now, before I go too deep into what I do, and this is not the topic of this video, I want to explain how you can become a full-time professional donor. It's actually not that hard, not that crazy. I'm going to make this video quite short. Currently, if you go to a bank, and tens of thousands of sperm bank vials are sold every year in the United States alone, you will be paying between 1,500 to 3,000 US dollars for one vial. And a vial, depicted by this, is supposed to be a little vial here. A vial only has 1/10 of a sample, sometimes only 1/20th, sometimes a fifth, depending on how much MOT the donor had who left the vial at the bank. Now, you put yourself out there in the market, you have to do three major things. One, you have to be healthy. Means you have to be fully tested, you have to have an organic diet, you have to be working out, athletic, all those things. If you are not incredibly healthy, if you are not sticking out in terms of health, you will be competing against a bunch of other free donors, low quality donors, unhealthy donors who are not full-time donors. They have stressful jobs. They might not have a job at all. They might just, be like unhealthy guys who have an urge to reproduce, right? So if you're not healthy, you're in direct competition against these men, and you're not any better than them. So people are not going to pay anywhere near the money they would spend on a sperm bank vial. Number one, you're healthy. Number two, you need to be responsible and transparent. I'll just put it in R and T. Responsible and transparent means you have to have kind of some authority, and you need to be able to have a good reputation in the industry, meaning that the things you say align with the things you do. If you tell recipients that you only have 10 families that you've helped, then that better be true. If this breaks, everything else shatters as well, because without trust and without this responsibility, people will not want to invest in you as an open donor. And then three, you want to have some sort of outreach, lead generation, ways recipients can find you. So you basically want to have content, you want to maybe run ads, you want to have cold outreach and posts. Now, this is something that I've specialized in over the 2 years I've been working as a donor, so I get more leads than any other open donor in the entire world, which doesn't mean I work with more recipients. It just means that I can choose from a larger pool of recipients that I can then work with. But I'm just making this point, and I'm just putting this out there because if you're interested in this and you're struggling with this, you can feel free to join the Open Donor Association. I try my best to help other donors get traction and get leads as well, get recipients as well, because one of my big goals is, help people have healthy kids. It doesn't mean I have to be the donor myself, which is also why I'm making this video, to kind of educate more people out there, other donors and recipients out there, to understand maybe why it might make sense to find a donor who charges, because then he can do all these things. And you would be interested in a donor who does outreach content and ads, because this means you will have a great recipient network. The other recipients are chosen and picked from, and it's not like he just has to scramble, those few people that do want to work with him. No, a donor who does these things, he can choose from a large pool of recipients. So then you have these three things. Now, how do you make an income? Let's say to be a very healthy donor, you have to be making, at least in the United States, somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000, right? $5,000 is if you do a lot of testing, if you eat all organic, you sometimes go out and eat at healthy restaurants, you have a gym membership, you go to a spa sometimes. So 5K is on the more expensive end, 3K is if it's just you and yourself. And this is without a family of your own. Family of your own, it changes the situation a little bit. Most donors I know don't have a family of their own, but a family doesn't necessarily have to make things more expensive. But that's a topic for a different video. So you want to make, with these three things, somewhere between 3 to 5K per month in revenue. Now, I like to say in revenue because at the end of the day, if you run it properly, you do run as a nonprofit. There's no money left. You reinvest it into yourself. You go and you end up with $3,000 to $5,000 a month. Now, how do you do that? Remember, sperm banks charge $1,500 to $3,000 per vial. Now, as an open and known donor, your value is already way higher than this. This, in comparison to an open donor, what you're getting from a sperm bank donor, is like comparing someone who just learned how to play soccer versus comparing someone who's playing in the German Bundesliga, or someone who just threw his first football compared to someone who's playing at the NFL. So you are already worth much more than that. Now, if you do a lot of content outreach, you will find people who are willing to pay more than that, right? But we're not going to look into that for now. We're going to look into, okay, now how do I use this to make enough so that I can be a healthy human who focuses on reproduction and helps people reproduce, not trying to become the best donor right now. This is a different story, and for that you'd have to have a good long call with me, because that's my standing for the moment. Now you go into these numbers by having between let's say 4 to 5 recipients a month, and usually on average, let's say a recipient takes 3 to 5 cycles until she's successful. Which means that every month you have to find 2, maybe 1, maybe 3 new recipients to consistently have 4 to 5 recipients a month. And each of those could fairly be paying $800 plus shipping. And you are still offering so much more value than what they're charging at the sperm bank. Again, if you have an incredibly strong standing, incredibly strong stats, incredibly healthy, strong network of half siblings, all the things that you can find on my portfolio, it is easier to charge much more than that. Not saying you have to do it or you should do it. I think it depends on you. For me, it depends a lot on the situation of the recipients, how are they set up financially, how many kids do they already have, how many children do they plan. A lot of factors go into the cost that I include, which is why I've had recipients in the 4 figures and I've had recipients in the mid-range 5 figures during their journey, right? It really depends on the circumstances. Do I have to travel? Is there a clinic arrangement involved? All those things. Now, if you have 4 to 5 recurring recipients every month, and then after 3 to 5 cycles on average, they are successful, and you find another, 1 to 3 new recipients a month, 1 to 3 new recipients a month, you easily have somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000 a month, and you're again charging less than the sperm banks. And I believe this to absolutely be possible. Now, is it possible to do this if you're not 100% healthy? Not really. Is it possible to do this if you're not focusing on outreach content and ads? Not really. Is it possible if you're not responsible and transparent? No. It does take these 3 things, but it's definitely possible. I hope this video kind of helps you guys understand how you could become a full-time donor. I think the world deserves more men who are focused on healthy reproduction, full-time reproduction. I hope that you don't see this as, oh, it's all about making money. No, it's not. We want our donors to be able to make a living as a donor, because then they can be the best donors, which will eventually create the healthiest children. So at the end of the day, it's all about creating healthy life. Now, again, I hope you liked this video. I hope it helped you. If you have any more questions, you want to join the Open Donor Association as a donor, or you're looking for a donor as a recipient, there should be a link somewhere down below that you can use to join, to see, and find more options on your reproductive journey as a donor or recipient. I hope you have a good day, stay healthy, and do not forget to grow your family.